magical friends. Today we're going to go over our first topic in Mindset by Design for Her. And the first topic is called Imposter Syndrome. And so imposter syndrome is actually something, so once I did some research on this, and I think you guys probably, if you listen to the introduction video in the group, you'll know that I used to be a researcher. And so research is something that I absolutely love. And once I did some research on this topic, I realized how freaking common imposter syndrome is, and even more importantly, specifically for this group and specifically for my personal coaching clients. So I specialize in working with female entrepreneurs or women who are just understanding that they have something bigger to do in their life, but they don't know exactly what that is, or maybe they don't know exactly how to do it. And so imposter syndrome, which is basically feeling like a fraud or feeling as though you can't do the things that you say you can, even if you've been proven, even if the facts show, yes, you are an amazing person, yes, you can do these things, you still feel like a fraud. And this is something that, so my whole point to that is that it affects women more than men. And that's why I really wanted to cover this topic in Mindset by Design for Her, because we are women in here. And it's important for us to understand that some of the times when we feel like we can't do these things, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not thin enough, we're not whatever enough, insert the blank, or who's going to want to listen to me, who's going to want to hire me, who's going to want me as their coach, or whatever it is, right? Whenever we feel these ways, most of the time, it's simply a little bit of messy neurology that's messing with our minds. And here's the thing. So if you were on my mailing list, you received a blog basically that I wrote detailing all of these strategies that we can utilize in order to beat imposter syndrome. And in that blog, you'll see that it says that 70%, right? So 70% of people have felt or will feel or currently feel imposter syndrome right here, right now, today. Pretty crazy. And so what I would love to do is kind of go over these different strategies and kind of delve a little bit deeper into them than I did in the blog. And if you are watching this, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching it, recorded, you can feel free to type in any questions that you have in the comment section below. I would love to get back to you and start a conversation about this. So basically, the first strategy that you can use in order to stop imposter syndrome in its tracks when it creeps up, and kind of to circle back, all we have to remember is that it's just a set of neurology that's getting fired off. And one of the reasons why women suffer with it more than men is because for centuries and millennia and just forever, thousands of years, women have been considered the low man on the totem pole, so to speak. It's only been in recent years, really, that we've even started to make the same amount as men. And really, in most industries, especially in tech and science and things like that, women are still not making the money that they are supposed to. So what happens is that we oftentimes feel this imposter syndrome come on, right? So for me, it happens a lot when I get asked to do speaking engagements, or because here's the thing about me is that for many, many years, I suffered with tremendous, horrible anxiety, specifically social anxiety. And standing up on a stage is like the complete opposite of what I ever thought that I would be able to do or would be doing in my life, because I basically told myself, again, I put blinders on my life. I told myself that it just wasn't possible for me. So every time I get asked to do a speaking engagement now, that little fraud imposter syndrome starts to pop up, like, who, me? I can't do it. Why would anybody want to listen to me? This crowd is going to be all science people, or this crowd is going to be really high level entrepreneurs. Why would anybody want to listen to me? Right? And so that imposter syndrome creeps up. But again, a lot of times it happens more so, not a lot of times, it happens more so for women. And that's why knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So the more that we know, and the more that we know that this is the case, when we feel it, right? So for myself, when I get asked to speak on stages, I will, which is just one of the times that I feel like a fraud. There are many other times when this syndrome creeps up for me. We'll just use that to keep it simple. So when it happens, I expect it, right? I completely expect it. This also happened to me when I run group coaching programs and I'm doing these big presentations for people and really want to transform their lives. That is my goal with my coaching clients and with any group coaching that I do. And sometimes I'll get off the call, right? I'll do a whole hour-long presentation and then I'll think, oh, was that horrible? Did they hate it? Did everybody did anybody even get anything out of that? And so what I have to do is I look myself in the mirror and I ask myself, and I tell myself, I know that that is the old version of me popping up, that old version of me that was too scared to leave my house to go get an oil change. I tell myself that that's the old version of me popping up and that I have two choices. I can either go down this path that leads to me living a life that I don't truly love and living the same old life that I always lived, or going down this path, which is stepping out, stepping up, doing the thing that scares me and living this completely different life, right? And what I do besides that are these strategies, which I'm just going to read them right off the blog that I wrote, so we can go over them today. And these are also ones that I 100% believe in, utilize in my life, and also utilize with my clients. So the first one is let it out. So basically, when this imposter syndrome comes up, so I will talk to Andy Murphy. You guys know Andy Murphy. He's the head of Mindset by Design, which is the father of this baby version of Mindset by Design for her, which, hey, I think we're going to take over, you guys. I think we're going to take over. My goal is to make this badass. So anyways, I will talk to him about it. He's a high-level coach, as you guys know, and I talk to him. I talk to my own personal coach. So I have a coach that I see once a week that has helped me tremendously grow and all of these things. And then I actually talk to myself in the mirror and say, like, you have two choices, Stephanie. You can either hide and stop and be scared and not do the thing, or you can go this way, which could lead to amazing things, right? You can talk to your friends, you can talk to your family. But Brené Brown, who is a phenomenal author, and she wrote Rising Strong, The Gift of Imperfection, and many, many other books. She says that one of the best things that you can do in a shame attack, she calls them shame attacks. And that's exactly what it is. You feel this deep shame for no freaking reason. It's just in your mind. The mind is so powerful. But that's like what's exciting about it, is because it can literally change our lives. And it makes me so excited because I've personally changed my life 180 degrees in my finances, in my love life, in my success, in my business. And it was all through tweaks of the mind, right? And my clients do the same. So what she says is that when you feel a shame attack, the best thing that you can do is to talk to someone you trust, right? For me, it's a coach. For you, it could be your sister, mother, father. I recommend you talking to someone who has some expertise in the field of either mindset or entrepreneurialism. It's so hard for me to say that word. Because sometimes if we talk to the wrong people, they will push their fear on us. So it's very, very important for you to take note of the people that you are talking to, right? So let it out is strategy number one. But I want to kind of add a second layer to this. And this is where really it's such a benefit to be in this group, because these added layers aren't in the blog. And that is to make sure that you talk to someone who has been there before, who has climbed that mountain, who can help you climb up even faster than you would do on your own. Now, the reason why letting it out is so important is because just like a pot that boils, right? When you keep that lid on, guess what? It builds up pressure and it explodes. But if you just simply take the lid off, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, Christy's chiming in. You call your sister Carrie. Guess what? I call your sister too. She is absolutely amazing. She's so freaking amazing. So anyways, basically, when you lift that lid off and let it out, the power that it has over you dissipates, right? So as soon as I tell myself, like, oh my gosh, who are you to be talking on stages and all this stuff? It's like I hear myself and I realize how silly that sounds. And I realize it's the old version of me popping up, because stressful situations actually trigger those kind of wounded versions of us from the past. So even if you're killing it and you're a total boss babe in the moment, there could be little things that trigger certain things in your subconscious mind that are attached to negative emotions, negative beliefs, negative memories, right? And so we just have to talk about it, right? So that's number one. Number two is remember the spotlight effect. So this is something that I learned many, many years ago in research, and it has stuck with me for, God, I probably learned about this probably 8 to 10 years ago when I was researching. And essentially, there is this thing and a phenomenon called the spotlight effect. And essentially, when we are feeling like a fraud, right? When we're feeling that imposter syndrome come on, it can oftentimes be triggered by us feeling judged, by people saying, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, who are you to do this? Why would you do this, right? But it's all in our mind, right? And what these researchers found is that we can oftentimes overestimate how much people are judging us by 50%. That's a lot. That is a lot. So it's called the spotlight effect. And really it's because we, in our minds, are the center of our universe, right? Because we eat, live, sleep, breathe everything in this body and as ourselves. And we also have a very powerful mind that creates all kinds of stories in our mind. So what happens is that we believe whatever we say, think, speak, do, how we show up, how we look, how much we weigh, what our hair looks like, what we're wearing, takes up so much more space in the world and has so much more meaning than anybody else around us does, right? And so one of the examples that these researchers used is when people go to the gym, right? So when people go to the gym, let's say if they're overweight or out of shape, they will oftentimes be too embarrassed to take a class, or they'll hide in the way back of the class and just don't want anybody to see them, don't want anybody behind them to see them like messing up the steps or using little 5-pound weights. And what they found is that every other single person in that class is also suffering with the spotlight effect. So while we're all thinking everybody's looking at us and judging us, really everybody else in the whole entire room is thinking, oh my God, everybody's looking at me and judging me. So it's like so funny because everybody's just focused on themselves and what other people are thinking, and really nobody's paying attention to you at all. And so when you start to feel that imposter syndrome pop up, when you start to feel sort of like this fraud or like, who am I to do X, Y, or Z, just remember the spotlight effect and ask yourself, am I making this a bigger deal than it is? And chances are you are. It's scientifically proven. So just remember the spotlight effect. That's number 2. Number 3 is flip your focus. So now that you know about the spotlight effect and how we 50% more overestimate how much we're being judged, you can understand how flipping your focus from yourself, right? Because it can be so easy to have our focus on ourselves and instead focus on how you can help others, how you can grow your business, how you can clean up your office space, how you can network more, right? Instead of focusing on yourself and all of the things you're doing, it's like flip your focus onto something else. And that will then stop the neurology that's looping with these negative thoughts. Because that's essentially what it is when you think that you're a fraud or imposter syndrome creeps up, it's like negative thought after negative thought after negative thought after negative thought after negative thought, and it loops. That's what neurology does. That's what our thoughts do and our beliefs. And so when you can flip your focus, say, okay, I'm flipping my focus onto this now, it stops the neurology from spinning. It gives it an out. It throws a wrench in it so that you can focus on something much more positive, and that will lead to much better emotions and feelings and thoughts. All right. So number 4 is focus on your successes and what you're grateful for. Now, this one's important because as humans, we have an archaic brain. So our brain literally hasn't had time. It takes several thousands of years to evolve as a species, like to get rid of limbs and change the brain and like all of this stuff, right? So basically, we just simply haven't had enough time to evolve, our brain to evolve past caveman days to where we are now, which is living in this modern world. So our brain is very much still wired like a caveman brain. And what was really important for our prehistoric ancestors was for them to focus on lack and limitation for survival. Let me explain what I mean by that. So basically, it was so important for them to focus on the lions and tigers or bears that could eat them, as well as the lack of food or the migrations that they need to do, the weather, right? Like, is it raining? Is it freezing? Is there land for me to build on? Is there wood for me to chop down? Is there wood for fire, right? So they were constantly like looking at the lack and limitation in their surroundings. It was very, very important for their survival. However, now We could literally sit on our butt. I could sit on this couch behind me right now and never leave my house and get everything that I need to survive. I can get medication. I can get food. I can get flowers. I can get paper towels. I can get literally everything delivered. And so there is no feast or famine anymore. There really isn't. And there is definitely no lions and tigers or bears that are going to eat us. But that's why sometimes you might feel stressed out and all you're doing is driving to Starbucks to get a coffee. Because your brain is like, where's the lack and limitation? Where's everything? When's the other shoe going to drop? When am I going to run out of firewood and I don't have wood to keep warm? When am I going to have to move? Right? And so what's so important is for you to really force yourself and make time during your day to focus on gratitude. Gratitude for what you have, who you are, what you came here to do. Gratitude for yourself, as well as all of your successes. Because the thing is that we have so many things that we've been successful at, but the negative things always seem to mean more, right? So let's just take comments as an example. Comments on a Facebook post or comments on Instagram or something like that. You could have about 100 positive comments. You're so beautiful. Thank you. You're so smart. I loved that post. Da, 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 da. But you'll have one that's like, you're horrible. You stink. I don't like what you say. And that's the one that we hang on to. That's the one that keeps us up at night. That's the one that we think about weeks later. That's the one. And so we really have to force ourselves to instead focus on the successes and let it sink and integrate into your body, into your heart, into your mind, instead of just letting it sit here as a thought, right? So what happens oftentimes with my clients and even myself is that something awesome will happen and we'll be like, wow, that's really awesome. And like cognitively and consciously, our human brain's like, yeah, that was cool. That was awesome. But we don't feel the emotions or feel the feeling or let it settle into the heart space. And that's really powerful. That can really honestly transform your life. And in this group, we're going to be talking a lot about spirituality. And that's one of the ways, the quickest ways to manifest the life that you truly love. And whatever it is that you're wanting to manifest is actually to feel the feelings. And just to kind of flip back to that negative comment thing that I mentioned is when you read that negative comment, it's like a gut feeling. It's like this wave of emotion crashes over you and you feel sick about it or you feel pissed about it, or it's strong emotions. Why can't we feel those strong emotions when it's a positive thing? We have to actually create space and time for that, right? So in the blog post, which I've posted here in the group so you guys can see it, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll post it in the comment section or in the description box below. Basically, I have written a whole article on gratitude and how gratitude can literally transform your life physically, mentally, emotionally. They tested probably like 1,000 people from ages 8 to 80 who just simply kept a gratitude journal, and it did amazing things for even like less knee pain, less back pain, reduced blood pressure, like all kinds of crazy stuff, like physical stuff that you can actually note in science. The mental stuff and emotional stuff is a little bit less easy to track. However, some stuff, it's like rooted in science hardcore. So that will be on the page here if you're in the group, and it'll be in the description box below if you're watching this on YouTube. Now, the next one is to listen to positive affirmation tracks. Now, I have a positive affirmation track on my website. You can download it for free. It's 60 minutes long, and it's 60 minutes of me saying positive affirmations. And the reason why these are so important is because a lot of times, or not a lot of times, all the time, imposter syndrome is really due to negative beliefs, negative thoughts, negative emotions that we hold and in our subconscious mind about ourselves that get triggered by different people, places, things, ideas, whatever it is in our reality that's kind of popping, that's the trigger for that. And so one of the only ways to move forward in your life and move past these beliefs is to rewrite them and rewire the neurology. Now, we can do this in many ways. I, with my clients, do tons of different system strategies, techniques. If you have any questions about coaching with me, by the way, please feel free to either message me. You can fill out an application on my website. You can DM me on Facebook. You can email me if you have any questions. But we use a ton of different system strategies and techniques to really tinker with and transmute all of the negative things that are happening in the brain on a subconscious level, but a super simple thing that you can do any place, anywhere, anytime, no matter what you're doing, while you're washing dishes, while you're driving your car, while you're hanging out with your kids. It's also very kid friendly. I recommend that you do listen to it around children, is to listen to positive affirmation tracks. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to quiet the mind. You don't have to make room for meditation. None of that stuff. You can play it anywhere. And the more that you listen, the more and more and more your mind will start to remember these positive sayings and positive phrases and positive affirmations. And at first you might find that your brain is like, no, you're not. No, it's not. No way. No, no. I had a couple clients say that. It's like, what do I do if, like, whenever I hear it, my brain just is denying that it's true? And it will do for some of them. And the more and more and more you listen to it, though, your subconscious mind is like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I remember hearing that. Oh yeah, I remember hearing that. And then all of a sudden one day it's like, wow, I didn't have any resistance towards that one positive affirmation. So the more and more you can rewrite the neurology in your brain, the easier it will be to remove yourself from imposter syndrome 100%. I really believe that's possible for us. Now, and that is basically it. So I would love to hear what your experience is with imposter syndrome. I would love to hear if there's any strategies that you loved out of the ones that we focused on today. I would love to hear if you have any of your own strategies that you use when you start to feel like a fraud or not good enough or judged or any of this stuff. So anyways, it was so awesome hanging out with you today. I can't wait to do it again. Next week, we will have a brand new topic, a brand new subject. So this week, it's really all about focusing on letting it out, remembering the spotlight effect. That's a huge one. You're probably overestimating the judgments that you have in your life by about 50%. Flip your focus. Remember, you can constantly be flipping your focus and focus on something different, focus on something different, focus on something different. Take the time to focus on your successes. Build time in your schedule. Even if you have to block out 15 minutes of your schedule to take a deep breath and write down all of the amazing successes that you've had, even small ones, like I answered all my emails in my inbox today. I smiled at the mailman. I, took my dog on a walk. Those are all successes. I'm blocking out 15 minutes to write out gratitudes. That's a huge success. And then allow it to affect you on a DNA level. Feel what it feels like. And if it helps, you may even think about how it felt to hear a negative comment and then remember, oh, it's supposed to be that strong when it's positive too. Oh yeah, I think we forget that. And then the final one is make sure to download that positive affirmations track on my website. I will make sure the link is below so you can grab that. And if you have any questions, send them my way. I can't wait to hang out with you again. And until we meet again, I want to wish you so much love, so many blessings, and I'll speak to you so soon. Bye, guys.